The MXR Phase 100 is a big pedal, so I've got a big episode planned for it. First guitar was the Reverend Jetstream using the Phase 100 in Mode 2, going into a Greer Soma pedal for just a little bit of overdrive. Then for that chimey part, that's a Reverend Warhawk with the P90s using the Phase 100 in Mode 1, and I also used a Greer Black Tiger delay pedal, which we definitely need to talk about in a later video. Back on the Jetstream for a little bit of noodling with a slightly faster Mode 3. And if you listen real closely to the bass line, you might hear Mode 4 being used on there. It's big, it's orange, it's pretty heavy. 1 pound, 1.55 ounces to be exact. That's more than twice the weight of my Script Phase 90, or to put it another way, it's exactly the same weight as a Voodoo Lab Sparkle Drive and a Banana Tuner without a battery together. It's a phaser for the ages, and phasers are great for adding a little extra shimmer or movement to a passage, almost like a chorus. And then when you throw an overdrive or a distortion pedal in front of it, now it's got all those extra harmonics to chew on, giving it this otherworldly growl that you can just about feel passing through your body. Yeah, that was another Greer pedal. Anyway, we've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right into this thing. We've got 2 knobs, starting with speed, which goes from slow to fast. And then we've got the intensity knob, and it's a 4-way rotary switch, real satisfying to turn too. But unlike the rate illustrations, which are pretty easy to decipher, these are like hieroglyphics. They remind me of the markings on the instruction side of the golden record that we sent up with the Voyager spacecrafts. Well, let's do what we do and go through them one at a time and see how they sound on guitar. Those 4 modes have 4 different flavors, and we could stop there, but we won't. So let's get under the hood a little bit and then come back to solve the mystery of these symbols. Now, a phaser uses all-pass filters, like this, to modify the phase of the signal based on its frequency. And when you put 2 identical all-pass filters back to back, you get a little sliver or a notch of frequencies literally being phased out. They kind of fall into a black hole here. Sweep that notch back and forth with a low-frequency oscillator, and there's your basic 2-stage phaser, like the MXR Phase 45 or the DoD Phasor 201. Add in a second set of all-pass filters and you've got yourself a 4-stage phaser with 2 oscillating notches like the Phase 90. And I've also got this diamond phase pedal, which is switchable between 2 and 6 stages, but I just realized that it takes a 24-volt power supply, which I can't seem to find right now, so we'll have to save this for another day. The Phase 100, however, has 10 stages. It would be easy to write this off as just being a Phase 90 bonus edition, but there's enough fundamental differences in here that it really becomes its own thing. Like, between the low-frequency oscillator and the all-pass filters, we've got these Vactrol light-dependent resistors down here. These are what you normally find in Univibe pedals, and as far as pedal components go, they're not the cheapest thing either. Including a bunch of these on a pedal raises the cost significantly, so I can only assume they're pretty important to this pedal's sound. Something else kind of interesting is that the first and the last stages are not hooked into the low-frequency oscillator, at least not the same way as the middle 3. And one might think that would result in 2 big old static notches at either end of the effect, but as we'll see later on, that's not entirely the case. Now, back to this intensity switch, sometimes called the wave selector. What it's really doing is bridging a connection between the all-pass filters and the rest of the circuit. And the 4 combinations of those connections are what the 4 stops of this switch map out to. And if we run white noise through the pedal in all 4 positions, we can see some differences. Like, mode 1 and 2 here are virtually identical, except that mode 2 adds this extra notch on the right side that's sweeping around the 3 to 10 kilohertz range. And if we pause them, we can see it also accentuates this notch right here, bringing it down almost in line with the next highest frequency notch. Modes 3 and 4 have the same shapes as modes 1 and 2, but notice that they have a whole lot less lateral motion. Notice that the rightmost notch goes from here to here in mode 2, and only from here to here in mode 4. Same with modes 1 and 3. So clearly, bigger arrows means a wider oscillation, and the smaller overlapping circles means phases canceling each other out more. I don't know. Maybe some things were meant to be a mystery. The Phase 100 is an absolute dump truck of a phaser, and it's probably my favorite of all time. It's also one of the first pedals I ever owned, and it's just something that I keep coming back to. I'm actually kind of surprised it hasn't made an appearance in a smaller enclosure, but that could be because of those Vactrols. It could be that it has more than twice the number of op amps than your standard Phase 90. Whatever it is, it kind of makes this guy feel special, and it's definitely worth the space it takes up on my board. Now, one thing I want to address, you may have heard some hiss, and we'll call it self-whooshing in my recordings, especially in modes 2 and 4 with that extended intensity. I'm sitting pretty close to a lot of electronics when I record, and when I'm just standing around playing in a room, it's never an issue, but my desk is pretty much worst case scenario. And I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there, lest anyone get the wrong impression. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into this deep diving pedal. I hope you don't mind hitting the old subscribe button there if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.